Hey everyone, and welcome to Holding the Line with Got Your Six Counseling. I'm Peggy, and this is Brittany. This is a space where we get real about the shit nobody wants to talk about: mental health, life, trauma, healing, and everything in between. Sometimes we get clinical, sometimes we get messy, but it's always honest. Quick reminder, this podcast isn't therapy, and it's not a substitute for professional care. We're not here to provide therapy, diagnose, or treat. If you're struggling with mental health, please reach out to a licensed provider. You don't have to go through it alone. We've got your six. We're just two trauma therapists showing up as humans first, ready to have real, unfiltered conversations about the stuff that matters. We're here to break the stigma, share what we've learned from both sides of the therapy room, and talk about the challenges people face every day, especially in the veteran and first responder communities. Whether it's trauma, burnout, relationships, identity, or just getting through the week, we believe that these conversations matter. They deserve space, and that's what we're holding the line for. So let's dive in. So today, we're going to discuss men's mental health and the strength in speaking up. Who better to discuss that with than the men that actually support the women at home? So I brought on my husband, Joshua Hahn, 20-year veteran with the Coast Guard, just retired 2 years ago. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
My name is Josh. I joined the Coast Guard when I was 20 years old, about to turn 21. Joined to think it was only going to be a 4 years, ended up being 20. I was an engineer in the Coast Guard working on mechanical and hydraulic. I did a lot of law enforcement and security, along with other things we do in the Coast Guard. That's a little bit about my career. Obviously, I'm married to Miss Peggy, and we have 2 kids, and traveled a good bit in our life.
I brought on my husband, Timothy. I'm not supposed to call him that. That's his government name. So in here, we'll call him Tim. He is an Army veteran. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is Tim. I did 8 years in the Army, and then halfway through my 8 years, I went Army Reserve and got out. I was a 42 Alpha Human Resources, and now I work at a steel mill, going on 4 years in October. I'm a crane operator at the steel mill, and I'm married to Brittany. And took a while. Met her at church years ago, but
That's enough. That's enough.
okay.
No more. That's enough. We're here to talk about mental health, not all that. Not all that.
Well, you two actually probably hear more about mental health than the typical spouse, partner, all of the things, because you're married to a therapist. How do y'all feel about that?
Yeah, what's it like to be married to a therapist? Wait, don't answer that.
I did 20 years, so I will say mental health was more looked at in the military the last 5 to 6 years before I retired. It's definitely picking up. Obviously, military is not where it needs to be at as far as handling it where it needs to be, but it's gotten better. So, if you're long as you're moving in a better pace and to where it needs to be, you're doing something right. But yeah, being married to a counselor, you learn some things, but just to me, I just figure out she's got a job that keeps her busy and on her toes.
Other than a child that likes to speak therapy.
Only a child that likes to speak, yeah.
They pick it up way too fast. What is it like to be married to a therapist?
It's got its days. I mean, there's some times where I'll just say something about my own family, and so bad did it make you feel.
I never say that. That's the cringiest thing ever. I might say, what's that like for you? And then he's like, okay. Very early on, he would say, charge that to my insurance, or you have my insurance card. So that's his very, very smart remark.
Or tell Christina about.
Yeah, he would say, tell Christina to bill me. She's going to love that later.
All right. So when we're talking about men's mental health, so men account for nearly 80% of all suicides in the United States, but are among the least likely to seek. What do y'all feel about that?
Actually, it's legit stats. It's true. I mean, it's not sugar coated in any means. I think the main you're expected to exceed in certain areas. Obviously, provide stuff. It's just not deemed something you talk about too much, even though it's been put out more. And I agree with it 100%. I'm pretty good with that, but I still hold stuff back, right? So it's just sometimes I guess I know you think you got your swivel with all the stuff that's going on, and you may, but you think you do because just hard headed or strong willed, thinking you'll push through it. And sometimes you need assistance. I mean, obviously there's also other aspects where there's other guys to make deal with both as far as the other aspects, but just in general, the average thing just deals with the stress. Guys treat each other a little hard, or I feel a male in a job that's equal 50-50, if they were going to cut people, sometimes they're going to cut the males more than the females. I don't know. It's just the way we were raised. It's changed a little bit over the years, but I mean, I just think you try to hold things from the lit, I guess, to make the household or family members feel that everything's fine, per se, right? So, like, I know I've seen people in my life that they in the past, like, well, just say my father or uncles and stuff, but they just never talked to their
The boomer culture.
yeah, the boomer, or even some Gen X. I'm an elder millennial, but and you just everything's fine, everything's okay. Coming, like it's just like the old cartoon they see with the dogs, house on fire, everything's fine.
I think that speaks to like the man up mentality, which is pretty
Yeah.
tough, right? And that not being able to explore your emotions or even express them through childhood definitely impacts you as you get older. What's your input on that? Especially, I'm not trying to put you out here, but like growing up without a dad and primarily around women, with your mom and your grandmother, and then just having that like grandfather role, pushing you through life.
Yeah, it's just like Joe said, it's that mentality, and you just go about your day every day, and like just pick up your worries and keep it moving. I mean, I feel like we're not supposed to express ourselves because we're viewed as weak. So keep it moving, and yeah, it can put a toll on you though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So has like that culture of like manning up like affected either one of y'all in these negative ways? Because like that's always been the mentality around, especially like little boys growing into men that they'll need to essentially man up.
So I can say, being the whole man of everything, I saw that in front of my face while I was in the service. So I was in charge of a small boat station. I was the OOD of the small boat station. We had a search and rescue, had a non-rate, which is the E3, E2, E3, and we sent him out because he needed to get his qualifications on the search and rescue. We didn't have a good feeling that we were going to find the person. The crew ended up finding the missing person, deceased, when they found him. The problem was dad was also in the Coast Guard. So when he came back, we have kind of situations like that, with search and rescues and stuff. We have a chaplain that comes the next day or same day, depending on when the incident happened. But during that time, I told him, hey, he was taking it kind of hard. I told him to call his dad. That was a warning. And he talked to his dad. He got off the phone. I was like, how did it go? He's like, well, they told me to just man up, and that's what I signed up for. And I was just like, you're running crazy. That's not the way it's supposed to be handled. I had to just tell him, look, buddy, it'll be all right. The chat will be here in the morning. You can talk to him. I was like, if you need anything, let me know. But yeah, this was 2012, 13, maybe, yeah, around there. So even then, it was still, even the dad, right? The dad that was had probably over 20 years or close to 20 years to duty. He was a warrant officer, just told his son to, which I get to a certain extent, right? Certain things like he could claim this day was a hard day. He actually saw something that's right. That's not what everybody sees in their life, and that's hard to process when you see something like that. And just tell him to suck it up, and that's what he signed for. So, yeah, it still happens. Yeah, but yeah,
I can think of like 2 incidents off the top of my head for you where you kind of had to push through um in this man up mentality. One was at work and one was family related. Are you tracking? I don't want to put your shit out on the street. Right after you started working at
Uh,
I don't know if you want to share or
somebody forgot to check and make sure lockout tagout was on, so they couldn't operate machinery. And 2 guys went down in the pit to clean something, and the guys came back from lunch, started machine up, and bye bye. Sorry to say it like that, but yeah, they pulled 2 bodies out.
and everybody heard him on the radio die. Because when they queue up the emergency channel, right, it kind of overrides everything else. And everybody kind of went right back to work, right? It was not a
Well, we didn't actually work, but we had to stay there. But yeah, we finished out the day.
And then you recently had an active shooter at your work. What was that? A week ago, last week?
Yeah, about a week and a half ago, the cops went to somebody's house to serve a warrant, and I guess he lived close by the plant, and he grabbed a gun and ducked from the police and came on our company.
And actually injured someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then literally, like, as soon as the threat was somewhat over, because they never actually caught him, they were like, all right, back to work. Which is so shocking to me. I was like, wait, you're not coming home? No.
No, he worked.
He's like, I'm filling buckets. Which is wild. Because why not have people there to help them process like that their lives were literally just in danger, hiding in rooms, sheltering in place, waiting for what's
Yeah,
coming.
like a safety brief, a stand down. But even in those stand downs, just like the vulnerability, were y'all encouraged or discouraged to actually express yourselves? Like even you sound like when you were in the army, when you were having to do like the briefings and everything, were y'all actually encouraged to express vulnerability to both of y'all?
So here's the funny thing. I don't know if anybody watches as an officer. I was enlisted. They do definitely promote, especially for the enlisted side. But I will say, knowing there should have been officers that got help, officers like to hide it, right? Because they're supposed to be the higher authority. But they definitely, there's a lot of officers I could have said could have used it themselves. Not saying they weren't a good leader or not saying the Rev definitely could have used it. I think that's the main problem currently with the military is they pushed it a lot down on the enlisted, but haven't pushed it on themselves. Just be, do as I say, not as I do.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Well, the officers are setting the example for the enlisted, which is why they're not getting the help.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's one way I'd say.
What did you say, Sam?
I'll be honest, I was just that shy kid that just followed what was told, and I didn't come out to my peak like mid-20s. Yeah, it's just whatever they say, I did.
Kept your head down, you're like, I ain't saying shit.
Was put your head down. Yep.
I've seen it. I mean, it may not be me, but I've seen other, people that it's just because it's not always the Eeyore, I'll say. It could be the guy that brings a life to the party or a life to the workspace, right? He can be the funnest guy to be around at work. But deep down inside, he's got deep down depression.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at like celebrities, And you're like, oh, wow, I never thought that that person would do that. But they were fighting their own inner stuff. And then, you know, the effects of suicide on the people around them is long lasting, right? People that have been impacted by suicide. I'm sure we could all probably say that too, personally.
Because it wasn't, always those things, those warning signs, or maybe there were the warning signs, but nobody,
Yeah.
They're harder to find, right?
nobody was just actively looking or felt helpless looking.
I think the hardest, I will say, so like, I know Tim has struggled with jobs. And sometimes you just don't have time to guy and just evaluate been acting because you got all this other stuff going on. Just your coworker. They might be your friend coworker, right? Because a lot of times it could be a coworker and you'll get along at work, but you don't hate after work. But sometimes you're just busy and you can't tell what's going on with him because he's doing his job right. He may be acting different, but you're busy and just like, we got to get it done. Or really dangerous and you can't tell that maybe he's slightly off. So the signs could be there, but the job at the same time is keeping your focus. So you can't, it's a little both, right?
But that circles back to the man up mentality, right? Where you're like, you say you're focused, but even if your friends are off, those friends are like, well, I have to go to work. I have to suck it up. I have to pay my bills. And so of course they're going to try to mask their behavior, to just keep it going. No matter what's going on in your life, whether you're depressed or you're grieving or you're stressed, you've got financial stuff going on, you're pushing it down, you're making it work, you're numbing it out, and you're doing your thing, right? I mean, that's kind of what we're forced to do. What's your take on the whole depression, suicide stuff?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, I tried suicide pre-military. I'm about 8, 9 years old. Had abusive stepfather. And then when I go see I love my grandfather to death. I'm not talking bad about him, but all my other cousins could go out, stay out to 9, 10 o'clock. I had to be home 7, 8 o'clock. No video games. You better be to church. If I was 1 minute late to church, I get a beating. Then I go back to Virginia Beach after the summer's over for my grandparents, and it's back to my brother's dad abusing me physically. And back in the 90s, they had these bunk beds, the red bunk beds. And like, I thought every kid had one. And I tied a belt loop on the top bunk. Luckily, my mom walked in, so stopped me. Or probably won't be sitting here right now. But as far as depression, in my triggers for depression, or well, if you're depressed, but I wanted to ask like triggers. So say, speaking, me and Brittany exchanged some words and something said, can that cause a trigger? Because like what Josh was saying earlier, I can talk to Brittany and put a smile on, or she says something that she didn't know that was going to trigger me. And I go back in the man cave and I'm just like, Lord,
I think you're speaking to more than depression.
I need help.
Wait, did we just make him uncomfortable? Did we just win? I think we just won.
You got me with the suicide part.
This is a subject, I mean, in the first place, right? So this is like, there's a lot of subjects you can talk about, but I will say suicide always gets you, right? So like,
This one hurt.
It actually has hit here. My aunt passed away to suicide. Not the norm, right? Not that she was a female, so that's she was bipolar, but later on in her life diagnosed. But and it still happens, right? So it still happened. So it did hit home. Especially always talk to what we do, walks for awareness. But it's just one of those harder ones where you can talk about multiple subjects about life or somebody's life or any type of counseling, but suicidal or those PTSD, those are going to be your ones where people are going to get real sick or feel uncomfortable, right? Because it just makes you deep down. You start thinking. It starts pulling out stuff that you try to keep back or whatnot. And you can be resolved. You may not have an issue with it, but it still floods it back, right? Um,
Well,
it-
because we've had the close encounters.
right.
Friend that Josh had to call the chaplain on in the middle of a storm.
Hurricane.
Yeah, in the middle of a hurricane because he was in active ideation. And it was just one of those things, what make all or and essentially ended his career, but it got him the help that he needed.
Yeah, so that was the hardest thing. I won't say the hard. It was pretty hard. I knew this guy. Me and him were not in the same branch. We did grow up together. He was in the Marine Corps. He was at 17 years or 16. He was maybe a little less than that because he did get processed. Yeah, it came down to what do I do, right? It's one of those moments like, you got the car. It's a quick reaction. You don't have the time to debate, talk about it. Well, I had a little time, right? A little time, but I don't have a whole couple of days a week or something like that. This was, I got to make a decision in the next couple hour to figure this out because this was during one of the hurricanes that hit North and South Carolina, and it came to the point. Okay, what do I do? First, I knew the military was evacuating for the most part, except for essential personnel in the Marine Corps base, and that makes it hard just to get a hold of somebody to account for him, right? So I had to figure out how to talk to my boss, how to figure something out through my chain of command, how we can contact somebody at the Marine Corps base, then check and see if he's okay. He's great now. The other thing that was hard to weigh is I knew that guy for so long. I know him since beginning years of high school, or actually high school. So it was like, is this it? It's going to be the end of our friendship because what I got to do. The right answer. You know what you got to do, but are you ready for the consequences? Luckily, the consequences were bad. Everything still works out pretty good. He still has a tough time with certain things, but he's still with us.
He's still fighting the depression. He's still fighting those things, because the lack of want to get help. So he's still trying to deal with damaged relationships and all of the mess that comes with wanting to get help. And that essentially, a man mentality.
Yep. It's so it's scary. It's so conflicted when you have someone nearby that's verbalizing that, even as a therapist, right? Because when our patients and we have to make those calls, you're like, you're working against their desire to want to die, but we're acting in their best interest, of course. It's different for us than it is when it's a personal, someone in your life. And at the end of the day, it's like, well, I'd rather have you here. We would rather have you here. And when you're in that place of hopelessness, like when he was talking about, his life circumstances, he didn't see a way out until it was over. We all have personal experiences with suicide, like Josh was talking about. His aunt, if you know me, I have a pretty significant family history of suicide, which if my family's watching, I'm sorry, airing this laundry, but if you know my family, you already know that, which impacted all of us. And that was not something that we ever talked about. And I know I'm not a man, so I'm not trying to monopolize this, but the men in my family don't talk about it, right? Like if you bring it up, you're shut down pretty quickly. And they don't grieve it. They don't process it at all. So I think that just speaks to that whole, man up. You go to the funeral, you grieve it there, and then that's it. It's over. And that's a whole nother, that grief, that's a whole nother topic, right? Well, we'll see on that one. But I don't know if you've ever experienced that directly in terms of having someone close to you commit suicide, but I was in a similar situation, as Josh was with, having a friend call, and it was like just by sheer accident that I happened to answer the phone. I don't even know how they got our phone number, but I had to call, I think it was Fort Bragg, and Pegasus to go like check on this person because he was like playing with a gun and ready to kill himself. So it was a very scary situation, and that was a long, long time ago, where I was even thinking about being a therapist. So it's kind of a crappy situation we put in. Have you ever been? I don't think you've ever been in that situation, have you? That I'm aware of.
No. I've never had any family member lost from suicide, so no, I don't know how it feels.
The people around you wanting to commit suicide. No?
What about like accidental suicide?
Yeah.
Or is that the same? I don't.
How would you know?
Well, accidental suicide, drugs. My family has a drug problem, and we lost my grandma's brother.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Went to go take a shower, and I guess
Yeah, then overdose.
yeah,
Yeah.
he had to use the bathroom, and they found him on the toilet like that.
Well, that just goes back to the substance abuse, the lack of care, and like that's just circling back to everything we've been talking about too. Generally speaking for men, I think,
There was over 6,000 veterans suicides annually, so it's nearly 17 every day. So that's still fighting that 22 a day statistic. This statistic really hurt was more officers and firefighters die by suicide than in the line.
Wow.
Yes.
Because when I found that out, I was like, when we think about that, I was like not like well, that's not them being a casualty or anything. It is literally the non-support that they're either getting or giving themselves.
Yep. Officers are law enforcement officers are what was the statistic? Was it 4 times more likely to put their service weapon to their head, right? When they're absolutely trained to do the opposite, right? 80% was the statistic of people in that community will communicate their desire to want to commit suicide within like weeks before they do it to someone around them. And it's not like I want to die or I want to kill myself, right? It's not in those terms because those are trigger words. Like we hear that and we're like, oh my gosh, I have to take action. It's a very like simple baseline words that people kind of brush off or people don't really pay attention to. And something happens and we're left wondering. And the first responder community is quickly coming close to the veteran population in terms of suicide, but is so underreported that we just don't have the numbers.
Yeah. All right. So what does it mean to be strong?
Right. There's many ways to be strong. Being honest with yourself, confront yourself with your issues. Let's be strong. Right. So, I mean, yes, you grow up a certain way as a kid, thinking what strong is, right? But over time, you come to realize, confronting your fears or fighting with somebody. Being strong is making the phone call that needs to be made. Some people may see it, scared to lose their friendship with somebody. They may not think they may commit suicide. They think it's a possibility. They're scared, right? Sometimes you have to do certain things that are the right decision, but are going to be tough to deal with the aftermath, right? It's a good choice. It's the right choice, but it's the hard road. It's going to, some people want to take the easy road on certain things, and it ends up not being easier. Strong is, that's when you get older, you really evaluate what strong is. You have multiple ways you can say that. admitting failure, right? So like it's when you say it, when let's just say you have a boss, right? Uh, if he actually admits he's wrong, you're like, wow, like that's a good leader. That's great. They come to you and say, I was wrong, right? Or something like that. That because you know he's wrong, but you know some bosses wouldn't say that's to me that's not like straight. Admitting your fault and correcting. Hey, miss, I'm your boss. I'm your husband. I messed up. I'm trying to correct it ahead of time. Whatever. You're you know, right? We all know it's not like when you get pulled over, you're like really trying to lie. Oh, hold on, speed. You were speeding. Yes, officer, I was speeding. Like you already know what's. I mean, if when you get pulled over for a cop per se, it's like just hey, yeah, I was speeding. My bad. But it's gonna be long run, possibly better. I've found that out. I'm a kind of quick driver. That is possibly one of my therapies myself. I think the downside of that is the adrenaline rush you're making with my fast car, right?
That coping skill. It's a fun.
It's a good,
Bad
you know,
coping skill.
Your butt just wants to go fast, huh?
I mean, it clears your head. I mean, it's weird to say that, but
What is that reckless, destructive behavior?
Firefighter part.
Not if nobody's on the road. But no, I mean, there's other things I like to do too that deconstruct. I like working on tinkering on stuff to clear my mind, right? But yeah, I mean, coping skills is definitely a big thing. I think to become stronger in controlling your emotions, right? Healing, processing, everything is learning how to confront what you maybe saw, maybe something you did that you know was wrong. Maybe you need to confront yourself that you were wrong in what you did, and confronting yourself on it.
It's
That's
never been therapized.
no, that I
Be fair.
there was a lot of training.
Or just for him for this? This is unfair.
I mean, I did do so. I got big, and obviously after my committed suicide, I got huge into suicide awareness. So even in the Coast Guard and stuff, I took more training for that. I wanted to get more into it, right? So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say,
Well, the first time you went to therapy
Yeah.
was when your mom got cancer for the
Yeah.
third time.
right. I mean, yeah, that's tough, right? But I mean, it's just confront your issues because if you don't confront it, it's just like a problem on your car. You like, check engine light, it's still running fine. I'll check it later. But then that little check engine light could be where you're over on the side of the road and it's going to cost you a whole new engine versus what it could have been. It could have been just $500 bill, and now you got to replace the whole engine. If you just would have dealt with the issue right then and there. I like putting things from a mechanical point of view because that's just 20 years of engineering. I took apart a
It
toaster.
really is. It's
I
okay.
took apart a toaster when I was 2 years old. My mom would tell me that story. I took apart a toaster, put it back together, and she threw it in the trash because she was scared. Oh, but no, I think it's whatever you cope. Some people it's working out. They clears their head. They want to pump some iron or run, or that clears their head. And maybe it's music. They have something to clear your head and make me think. I know some guys. I was on the ship, wrote music, and it was sometimes about their lives or the stuff that's going on. Then just lit it out into music. Which was pretty cool because we'd be on the ship underway. We'd be hanging out on the deck after hours. It'd probably be after chow, after dinner. And one of the guys had a guitar playing some music. But yeah, I think an outlet is where you can either A, confront yourself, or B, just you also need to let certain things go. I've learned I'm old, but I'm old. But I've learned, I guess it's
Older
growth.
than us. Older than us.
It's growth, right? It's growth. Learning how to deal with it because she knows I like to confront, but at the same time, I wouldn't tell her everything, and I just go for a drive or I'd take off for a little bit, not telling her that I'm late or nothing like that. But I would just I'm gonna go get groceries. But at the same time, I'll do like a couple of things while I went to the store, just to let it all out. Like what happened at work, I had to just drive and just process it, and then drive back home after I got what I needed. I just needed to process it while I was doing a drive around. And driving is a little bit of my therapy, and mechanical is my therapy. But everybody is different, and I'm probably talking too much. But
That's fine.
No, your answers are good. They're very much like your therapist prepped you for this podcast tonight.
100% not. I did not want to do this.
Talk well. Liar.
Liar. He's just trying to be humble. It's okay. What do you think it means to be strong mentally or just generally speaking?
First of all, I ain't heard that word child in a while. Oh, no, strong. Just my opinion, strong to me is my kids are fed, they're clothed, we got food in the fridge, taking care of the wife. Well, she takes care of her own self, but we help each other. Lights are on. I'm being strong, but for a 10 issue strong, I'm still struggling with that. So I can't comment on that because if I'm not strong for myself, I really can't be strong for Brett. But I'm working through that.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's all.
All right. So one of the things, the strongest thing a man can say is, I need help. Yes or no?
It's a strong thing. Man, because
Mhm.
I say the most honest.
So Josh said no.
Well,
it's honest.
I like that. Like, to me, that's a
that's
little
just being
more,
honest.
but I like that. It's more honest.
Being strong is doing the part of getting to that point. But being honest is you have to be strong to be honest to yourself, but being honest is like the legit over on that subject. The way I see, because like so your mind is very, very complex, even though funny because we use 10% of our brain. Sometimes we don't realize that we have to self-heal ourselves. Right? I know I'm fidgeting, but I think, yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna stop. Yeah, I feel being honest with yourself.
He says being honest with yourself is like, I need help. He's like, that's just being honest. It's not strong, or you think it's both? Like, I
mean,
need the
I mean,
strongest.
sure, yeah, it's definitely strong because you are being honest with yourself.
So, they're both true.
Yeah.
Yeah. You agree? Yeah.
I mean,
Okay, but how often do we say those words? I need help.
I mean, I want to say there's some other people are guilty that are also on these videos creating, but
We're not talking about us today. We're not talking about us today.
And
Yeah.
like the myth of like getting help equates to weakness, right? Like that's the myth for men that like, if I get help, that means I'm weak. True or false?
You keep. Here's a prime example. Another example of a family member. Family member. So they were in their 50s and was told their blood pressure's high. They needed to get it regulated. Patient said, or family member said, should I say, it was family, said to doctor that I can handle it. I should be able to get this under control. Well, 20 years later, family member has TIA, finds out, yeah, he didn't go to the doctor. He tried doing it himself, right? And sometimes you need the help. He didn't think he needed the help.
Girls say.
I mean, here we go. Anyway, but yes, wasn't me.
No.
Yeah, I mean, right. So sometimes we want to try ourselves, right? Just the whole goal is try to do it yourself first, right? See if you can't handle it or can't deal with it on your own, then you need to ask for assistance. Maybe past your ability to heal yourself. You need extra assistance, right? That's just like anything else. Sometimes house project or whatnot. You think you can do it on your own, and then you see yourself, you got yourself deeper in than you thought, and you may need to call.
Professional.
Yeah,
Professional. Mental
maybe.
is healthcare. Professional. If you had diabetes, you would take insulin. Hopefully, if you had high blood pressure, you
You
would
would go
take your med
and see the cardiologist.
from a
Yeah.
cardiologist, a specialist. Do you think getting help equates to weakness?
Oh, no, I agree with what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, I'll close my eyes. You can smack him real quick.
Oh,
So, how do we actually have these real conversations among men? How do you start that conversation?
That's funny. Like I said, everybody's different.
How do you start it among your friends?
I mean, you don't. So, I mean, it usually comes up. I mean, it can be something that you watch, right? Or something you saw with the buddy, or take it further into that conversation. But it is hard because it's a sensitive subject, right? Because sometimes that person may just shut you out, right? Could just be like, "How we good? Don't want to talk about it," or "I'm fine." What you, and then they may jump subjects to something else to try to sway you off. It's hard, right? I mean, it's no different, I would say, to a certain female on certain. It's because not always female admit their faults. So I mean, it's hard, right? So it's admitting you have a problem, and it's just like, well, you could even take it to alcoholism. So people are like, "Hey, you have a problem." I don't have a problem. If they don't see the problem, if they don't see that depression is leading to worse, where it could end up, then it's hard to. You can't force them, right? You can't be like, "Hey, buddy, I'm going to force you as counselor to talk about your feelings." Emotion can be there. It's like, look, I think the simplest thing is like, if you look like how we're talking, just be like, "Hey, I'm here. You ever need to call me? My phone's open." Or just like, just whenever you need, just give me a call if you need it. Just to give that comfort. Basically, you can comfort knowing you can listen to them without judgment or I don't know, forcing them on you, right? So, or you don't want they feel that they talk to you, that you're not just force something down their throat to change or give them to go to counseling. They may not go to counseling right away. They may want to talk to you for a little bit. Because I don't know, everybody, like I said, it's different. But I think the best is just to say, "Hey, if you have a friend that's going through a hard time, you should be like, 'Hey, man, I don't know if you want to talk about it. If not, just know later on or whatever. If you like, you need to talk about it. I'm here.'"
I think another good question and another thing that, for men, I'm curious about is like starting real conversations among men, but also like, what would it mean? And I'm trying to figure out how to conceptualize this too. Like, Josh gave a very good example about how to start it, but what would you need to feel supported by your friends if you were struggling? Right? Like, I'm asking you. Like, he gave a good example on like how to support your friends, but I'm asking you, like, as a man, if you were struggling, what do you think would be a good way for someone to approach you without feeling judged or like harassed about it, that you would be receptive to without shutting down or changing the subject? Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I want to say I'm an approachable guy, but
Right. But if you were struggling and someone came to you and was trying to talk to you about it, what do you think you would need from them to feel supported and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm struggling"?
I wouldn't reach out.
You wouldn't know.
I wouldn't reach out. I just go about my day because I've ran into the instances because, like Josh was saying, but hey, here's my number, hit me up. I've done that before, and I've been an ear for years and years. But guess what? Did that person ever check on me? Just hey, how you doing?
So the follow up.
Oh, but I'm not asking for a follow up.
Right. Well, that's
But it's
because
just
that's
I'm
the
a
man up
person.
mentality that you're not asking
So
for them to follow up.
I stopped doing that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's on me because I want to be that person. Like, hey, call me. Or hey, Josh, you struggling tonight? Give me a call, man. I want to get back to being like that, but
So it's the lack of follow up and a lack of support. So you check in with somebody and then there's no follow up, no
I
support.
just got a history of that with my family. Where they go straight to the kids. Hey, how y'all doing? Nothing.
Yeah. So there's no
I-
backup
I
there,
just
which is critical.
history of it. But I want to be that guy again. I want to give another guy a helping hand if that means saving his life because I didn't know if that guy was gonna go home and not come to work tomorrow.
That seems to be a common theme for veterans, first responders, everyone, right? Like in any setting, that if you think or you know someone's struggling and then you don't actually follow up with them after the fact, what was that even for?
It was like when 9/11 happened, all them guys that witnessed it and stuff. I can't imagine.
Yeah,
I can't.
it's a critical element of like if you look at the law enforcement and peer support, like you're sitting with them and you're talking to them, but you don't follow up afterwards. They feel like, what was that even for? Why did you even sit with me and talk to me for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then 3, 4, 5 days later, no one ever follows up with me? Well, right? It's the same in daily life for us, and even if you're not, the follow up is important to check in, and then the people in charge should be doing that too.
Okay. And then we have our, how do you actually get started? Like, was it just like, did you want to go to therapy? Gone to groups, peer support? Like, what did you actually want to do?
It was, um, it's not bad. I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, the counseling was fine. It wasn't bad. I guess you have to feel comfortable with the person, right? Maybe the first counselor ain't gonna be your person you like. Maybe you have to try someone else. Because you don't know, it just may not be a good mix. Right? I mean, just like a doctor, you may not like them. They may get a second or you switch because you just don't like the way they work. Not saying the person was bad or whatever, but just because one counselor didn't work doesn't mean no counselor can work for you. So that's another option.
We are not offended if you leave us and go see someone else. Please find someone that works for you.
Please do.
Just say, look, we're not clicking. We are not connecting. I want to go find some. We will help you find someone else because you have to be able to trust and connect with us for it to work. So please don't be, we are not offended. It's like
Because if the purple hair doesn't work for you, there is always, a different.
I am not one cup of whiskey, okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Please. We will even help you find someone that works for you. So
Behavioral therapist.
no,
Work on behavior.
not at all. And all different types of therapy don't work for everyone.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Like if you're addressing PTSD, sometimes that group therapy setting is just not for everyone.
And it's okay. And go find what works for you, whether it is your community, your faith, or, whatever is fitting your needs for what you want. Get in where you fit in.
And find the therapist that is specializing in what you need. Because we're not all created equal and we don't all have the trainings and specializations and everything. We can't know everything.
So struggling in silence is not stripes. We don't have to go at these things alone.
Doesn't make you cool.
Like putting on the mask and pretending that you're okay. We don't have to keep doing these things because the mask doesn't help. And there's no shame in needing backup or saying backup.
I will say there's, before we started this podcast or video today, I know we watched one of my favorite, I won't say favorite, but a good artist, and like, he goes by Dax. He hits lately, the last year and a half, 2 years, he's been hitting on a lot of his music is real. He'll talk about what it's like, is one of the songs, what it's like to be a man, the lonely road home, and then what, alcohol. Those are really, and there's another one, I think, Joker, talking their mental state. But I think over time it's gotten more talked about, right? It's like you're moving forward. Like you're talking about way of bring down the numbers. Just gotta keep doing what you're doing. Do what's gonna work. You're not always gonna get everybody. There's no perfect rhyme or reason. You know, if the person's not going to talk or a person's not going to call, you can't force them. You can try to help them and try to be there. That's all you can do, which gives you peace knowing that you tried everything. That person.
Yeah.
I like Dax. He just came out with a new song called Depression. Go check it out.
Peggy and I, we fight that battle every day with people. It's like, you can't, I don't want to say fix, but I mean, you can lead people when they're not ready.
Right.
And we do that every week, right? Like people show up, they show up. There are parts of them that show up, but they're still resistant. They want to be here, but also
You
they're
can go
not.
to you can go to A meetings. That mean you have to quit drinking. You know, they have to want it, right? You can get forced to go to treatment for alcohol. It doesn't mean you're going to be sober, right away. Or it's all when you really put effort and work to. And like I said, the brain is pretty complex, and sometimes you need guidance on how to fix your own brain, I guess, internally by confronting it.
I think there's like the picture for, and I can't speak for men, but generally speaking, the picture of depression being like someone who can't get out of bed and they're not sleeping or they're not eating, right? And they're like this thin, frail person who is just, very, very slow movements. But that's not what depression looks like for everyone. Just like for PTSD, not everyone looks the same. We, kind of talked about that in the first episode, right? I like how PTSD is spectrum. Depression looks different in everyone. Anxiety looks different in everyone. And alcoholism looks different in everyone. It's not the person who is homeless on the street. Alcoholism is different, right? Like you're binge drinking, that's alcoholism, right? You can still be functioning and still have alcoholism. So you're not alone in all of these struggles that you're having. And it's not strength in not getting help. It's actually stronger for you to get help and face what you're struggling with someone who is licensed and competent in doing those things. Licensed is a key word and competent is a key word.
I want to thank you two so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
And being vulnerable and talking about things that make you uncomfortable. Did we make you uncomfortable? Did we win?
We did.
Yeah.
We won.
Next week, we are going to have another special guest.
We're going to have a special guest. My sister, who is a 911 dispatcher, has agreed to join us to talk about the effects of being the first responder, which she likes to remind me of, to talk about the effects of being that type of first responder on your mental health. So feel free, or not feel free, join us. Make sure you join us so we can have you there to listen to all of that. And we'll see you on the next one, I guess.
We want to thank you for tuning into this episode of Holding the Line with Got Your Six, where we are just a bunch of therapists who talk about the shit nobody wants to talk about. We hope you got something useful out of it. Stay tuned for more of our upcoming episodes every other week posted to our YouTube channel, Holding the Line GYS. If you want to help support our podcast, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this video with others who think may get something useful out of it. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, where we will post useful information, dark humor, and more of the shit nobody wants to talk about. Go forth and do magical shit, everyone.
Right?
Look at you two. Y'all did it. Wasn't that hard? So wasn't that bad?
Was it terrible?
No.
No, it wasn't bad. Was it bad? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do with all the cash I get for making you uncomfortable?
We did it.
I told Peggy this morning that I'm gonna split it with her because
Move out the way a little bit. More plants. It's a greenhouse.
I'll buy more plants.
Yeah, no, that's going to be overrun very soon by all the plants in our house.
We didn't do the like and subscribe thing. We forgot to do that. Make sure you like and subscribe and share this video with people that will get something out of it. And if you're struggling with mental health issues or you are thinking about suicide, you can call 988 and press 1. You're strong men. Strong men. And they're like, no, this is stupid. Christina's going to have so much fun listening to this one.
And Christina can listen to this, that the Coast Guard is the best.
Oh, no, you've done it now.
Hey, who, I know all of us, right? I retired, right?
You retired.
I retired, okay.
You retired.
How many Marine Corps? I know a lot of people that went from Marine Corps to Coast Guard, and
For me.
I know, but what I'm saying is Marine Corps is the best as far as the fighting force. So if the second best, if they leave that, they go to the Coast Guard. So me,
What's wrong? Hold on, man.
go see this mess with others.
Where are you getting your stats from? That's not even remotely true.
It's not remotely true, but I've had a lot of guys in my career that underneath me, they joined. I even had a buddy of mine that left Coast Guard and joined the Air Force.
That's reasonable swap, though.
I've
Let's
never
be
heard of a
honest.
single person go from the Marine Corps to the Coast Guard.
We're always.
Makes so much fun of you.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Coast Guard ain't got a football team.
It's not true. This is true. This is true.
That's a
Neither
go.
neither does the Marine Corps, but I won't talk shit to the Marine Corps.
The Marine Corps technically does because they're a department of the Navy. So that was a good one.
It's
I
all,
love-
it's all good.